Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Metcalf and I watched the film so you don't have to. On this video, we're taking a look at Darryn Peterson and his awesome, awesome game against BYU. We have to address the elephant in the room right off the bat. I know he only played 3 minutes in the second half. Apparently, more of those cramping issues that have plagued him all year. It's frustrating. I don't care because in that first half, it was one of the most impressive halves we've seen from any prospect this year. Last year, the last couple years, we saw dynamic shot making, on and off ball creation, playmaking, defense, rebounding, anything and everything that you wanted to see from a top prospect, Darryn Peterson gave to us. So let's dive into the film, take a look at why Darryn Peterson continues to clearly look like the best prospect in the 2026 NBA draft for me. Welcome to film school. Let's dive in. So we're just going to go chronologically from start to finish, and this was Peterson's first big impact, at least for me, in terms of what really stood out. And it came on the defensive end. Does a really nice job here of recognizing the situation, seeing that Richie Saunders is getting walled off in the corner here, knowing that he's going to want to swing it, capitalizes on the lazy pass out, really just times it to perfection. Good recognition, baits him into the pass. And that's one of those passes when you're passing back towards your own basket, you just can't have on offense. But this is a really great example of Peterson's ability to be really disruptive in that off ball role. We saw that from him in high school. We're starting to see it more consistently at Kansas, and then his ability to immediately turn that into offense going the other way. He doesn't get the bucket here, but he does get the foul. And even here, when he's running, he looks a little more labored. So I I almost wonder if the injury, if he just wasn't 100% coming into this game, but that's a different conversation. On this one, we just get some of his brilliant scoring versatility as AJ Debonsa took the matchup early and often, and it didn't go well for Mr. Debonsa. But this is how special Darryn is as a scorer and as a creator. Just flares off this little flare screen just to get the ball on the left wing, and he's excited about this matchup. We saw him kind of call for it and call his teammates to clear out a lot throughout this game. Whenever AJ was on him, first off, solid defensive stance by AJ, but just quick rip through. Darryn attacks that high foot, attacks middle. He likes what he sees, and he just beats AJ to the spot. AJ's a little flat footed here. Darryn goes, and then as he splits the defense here, gets nice and low, elevates with the right hand, and then has the presence of mind and the skill and the coordination to then switch back over to his left to finish around Kiba Keita rotating from the weak side. And Keita almost gets there. This is a really good rotation by Keita, but the awareness and the skill and the craft by Peterson to elevate with the ball over here in his right and then switch it back to his left to use his body, the rim, and that extension to protect the ball from Keita, who's not far off, and then still have the scoring touch with that offhand to drop it in off the glass. That is a really, really high level pro move that we see from NBA All Stars all the time, and Darryn Peterson's already busting it out. Now, a few possessions later, Peterson started to get in his rhythm launching from three. He's been an insane shooter all year, and this is just really bad defense by BYU. Robert Wright here, he's got to do better. You got to know the scouting report, and if you're sagging that far off Darryn Peterson in transition, in the half court, coming off screens, in the pick and roll, he's going to make you pay. That is way too much of a window to give him, and he is just giddy to step into this, totally uncontested. I know Wright kind of sort of gets a late contest, but that's about as wide open as you can get for someone of Peterson's caliber. And this is just way, way too easy to let this guy just walk into a wide open three like that. He's going to make that every single time. It's effortless. And these are the kind of easy shots that can get a guy like Darryn Peterson into absolute on fire mode. Here we see Peterson again sparking the offense with his play on defense. And he was doing this throughout the entire first half, and that's a tough bucket. So he knows the ball's going to swing over here to AJ. So he's playing the passing lane perfectly again and just capitalizing on it. He's putting himself in position to not get back cut, to not overplay it, but just reads the ball handler, jumps the passing lane, gets his hand on it, and then beats AJ to the spot. He wins the 50-50 ball, gets there, and initially I love this. Flory comes to set a screen, and he's like, dude, get out of here. I'm going to work. I don't care that it's AJ DeBonsa. Actually, I do care that it's AJ DeBonsa. I want to go to work. I want to go get this bucket over him. And he's telling his center, who's had himself a heck of a game, just get out of here. Get out of my way. But the quick little slip screen, brush screen, ghost screen, whatever you want to call it, disrupts AJ just a little bit enough. And I love Darryn's timing on here where as Flory goes to clear out, now Darryn goes. So even though he didn't want the screen, he was still smart enough to at least use Flory's presence to attack into the middle of the floor, creates a little bit of space. This is relatively good defense from AJ, where even though he's having to turn his hips to chase, Darryn tries to separate, doesn't really get a clean push off there with the off arm, and AJ's right there the whole time, but by the time that he's releasing that shot, his release is so quick, his elevation is so high, great release point, that AJ's late contest doesn't really bother him, and he's able to knock down the mid-range jumper. So just one more time at full speed. A little step back, and just lightning quick release. Here we go back to the defensive end of the floor yet again. And this wasn't a steal, it wasn't a block necessarily, but I just like the work rate. I like some of the recognition stuff from Peterson here. So we can see him in the top corner. His man's in the corner. Richie Saunders drives. Elmarco Jackson does a really good job walling that off, staying attached. As Peterson's guy cuts into the middle of the lane, he sinks down on Saunders to throw another pair of hands in to disrupt him. Peterson doesn't stick with his guy because he's not worried about it. He's looking to make a play here. And as his guy cuts, Peterson knows that there are two guys right here. So he knows that as his guy cuts, he can also see Melvin Council here. And he knows that Council's guy is staying on that side of the floor. So Peterson feels okay detaching from his man initially, enough to dig down, swipe at the ball, try and get a steal. Does a good job not fouling, but he knows that there's a guy behind him still, so he's not worried about his man originally cutting through. Saunders fights through it, kicks it out, and Peterson has the processing speed and the awareness to know that, all right, there's a guy right there, just track the pass, and then get a late contest. Not going to get a block, but at least he gets a hand up late, somewhat affecting the eye line, but at very least rushes the shot a little bit and helps force a bad miss. Here we go back to Darryn and more of that off-ball role where we've seen him just eviscerate teams all season, and his catch and shoot release is so stinking quick, and his shot prep is insane. So here there's a little confusion on what they're doing. They figure it out. Darryn goes down to the baseline, about to run off a floppy screen, sets it up like he's going to go that way. Instead, comes back to the space that he just vacated, recognizes that AJ's trying to go over the screen, so he sinks down into the corner, makes himself available, and just the shot prep here, how quick he gets into his release is really, really impressive because AJ's doing a good job here of staying relatively attached. Got hung up on the screen just long enough where that's all the space that Darryn needs. Like, AJ's 6'9", and closing out with a high hand, under control, gets a contest on the shot, but he's still too late because this, by the time that Darryn's catching the ball here, his release is so quick that it just doesn't matter how late the contest is. He's getting a clean look off, and it's just effortless from him. And something I love about these catch and shoot attempts from him is that they're not bouncing in off the rim. They are nothing but net almost every time. They're so pure. Something I've been seeing way too much of this year is that Darryn Peterson isn't a good passer. Spoiler alert, folks, he is a very good passer. We saw it all throughout high school, but he's being used as a two-guard this year for Kansas, but we saw him explore more of his passing reads in this game. Now, this isn't an overly complicated read. Early offense, quick high pick and roll, and Darryn just reads it really seamlessly. So he recognizes that Keita's up at the level. He sees Flory slip it, slip it here. So he knows that both AJ and Keita are right on him at the level, and that the entire paint is wide open because Tiller's guy hasn't collapsed in yet. Um, Weak side defender is staying attached to the corner shooter. So Darryn just does a nice job of leaving his feet, changing that release angle to release it over the two bigger defenders. Hits Flory perfectly in stride. He's not leading him too far into the defenders. He's not throwing it behind him. He's not throwing it too low, too high. It's right where it needs to be to allow Flory to catch and then elevate off of 2 feet. Doesn't get the bucket, but the quick decision making, the accurate pass allows Flory to go right up, and then Tiller does a great job here of crashing. But that quick decision making, that quick processing by Darryn drew that weak side rotation, or I guess strong side, depending on how you're looking at it, and didn't allow the other help defenders to collapse down to secure the defensive rebound, and gave Tiller that opportunity for the tip dunk. So it's simple, but this is the kind of pass that is super replicable and something we'll see from Peterson a lot going forward. Now, this is one of my favorite sequences from any prospect this year. We get defense, we get playmaking, we get recognition, processing, and just overall activity. This is superstar level stuff right here. And it starts with the recognition on the defensive end, the quick hands, and then it ends with a brilliant skip pass. So as the entry pass gets made, Darryn does a good job collapsing down, pokes at it, is opportunistic, good hands, and then immediately pushes in transition. It's like, all right, got the ball, let's go. We're not going to let them get set. We're running up the score. Let's get going. Love how once he crosses midcourt, just shovels it over to his teammate and then gets it right back. And there's no hesitation. There's no pause. There's no, all right, well, we didn't have anything immediately, so let's pull it back out. Let's get the offense set. Let's figure out a set to run. It's nope. All right, nothing's here. Cool. We're going to flow back into something going the other way. Runs off the screen here, goes into the handoff, creating mismatches and defensive rotations all over the place. That quick decision making right into the handoff. Now he attacks downhill because that quick offense, or getting into the offense that quickly, has now turned Richie Saunders into the drop defender here and is giving Flory a big lane to roll down into, which draws the help rotations from Davis and Robert Wright on the weak side because they don't have a true rim protector there. Their rim protector is on the strong side block, having to guard Tiller, who was getting really hot from three, especially in this first half. So he knows that he can't rotate back middle because he can't leave Tiller wide open in this corner. Darryn knows all this. He sees both Wright and Davis collapse down into the middle of the lane. He sees Trey White wide open in the opposite corner, skips it, little off target, but not enough to really take White out of the shot, and leads to a wide open three. So just one more time, full speed, because I love this sequence. Opportunistic hands, and now go. And there's never a time where Peterson stops to survey, where he kills the offensive flow. Everything is quick, decisive, and really intelligent from him. Here we just get back to Darryn showing off his lethal catch and shoot ability with some fun little nuances in his off-ball movement and how he's positioning himself. So right off the bat, he's going to try and run off this pin down from Tiller, and Wright does a really good job fighting over, playing ball denial, not letting him get it. But as we can see, since Peterson kind of instinctively settled back, since Wright went over the screen, Peterson settled back instead of chasing over into where Wright is, settling into that space. He's a little too deep and in a spot where Saunders would be able to pick off that pass. It's a really tough pass for McDowell to make. So Kansas flows back over to the right side. Tiller stays up top, and Peterson sinks back down. But this time, as Peterson drifts back up, we can see that he flares out even higher. So last time he was down here where the ref was. This time he's getting a little higher because Tiller's already up there. So even as if Tiller doesn't stay here and set the screen on Wright. The passing angle's way more favorable for Trey White to get it to him, and just having Tiller somewhat in the way makes it more difficult for Wright to get through. Then we see Richie Saunders trying to communicate the switch. He's not tied to Peterson like he should be, and that's about it. You get Darryn Peterson this type of window, he's going to make it just about every time. I really loved this one too from Peterson because we get flashes of his off-ball movement, his quick processing, and the playmaking all in one. It doesn't lead to a direct bucket. I believe they get one at the end of this possession anyways, but not from what Peterson creates here. So does a nice job running tightly off that screen. Saunders gets hung up on it. As he catches it, he immediately recognizes, all right, Saunders is on my hip. Nothing here is here immediately, but then he immediately just flows back into this empty corner pick and roll. He doesn't stop, survey, back it out. There's no wasted movement. There's no wasted time with Peterson. It's catch and go. And I adore that swiftness, that promptness, that sense of urgency in his game. So he rips back through against Saunders' momentum. Saunders does a good job opening up his hips, sliding with him. Peterson does a nice little job of a little escape dribble here. So he's coming initially tightly off this screen, but he recognizes Flory is slipping this. So to get the drop defender to commit out a little bit, he takes a little bit of an escape dribble. We can see that left foot a little further behind the arc, little hesitation, but then he just turns on the jets and is able to turn the corner against the bigger, slower defender. As he attacks downhill, though, he obviously recognizes Devonsa down here, right as well. Mboop taking away the shot at the rim, and he knows that Saunders has also collapsed and veered back down into Badunga's path, which means that Trey White is open on somewhere on the perimeter. As he's midair, so his eyes are here. He's not looking for White until now. And the fact that he's elevating like this, getting multiple defenders to commit to his shot attempt, and then reading what Wright is doing, collapsing down to Flory, obviously seeing that Devonsa is taking away the corner passing lanes, and then being able to contort his body and pass against his momentum out to White like that is really special. Now, obviously, the pass is too far off target. White has to leave his feet, catch it with one hand, so he doesn't get a shot off right away. But the fact that Peterson's instinct and ability to process all of this quickly and still make that pass is really encouraging. And in a year or two, when passes like that just get a little more accurate, just a little more accurate, and guys can catch it a little cleaner, he can create for any one of his teammates in any part of the floor because of his scoring gravity and just feel for the game. And then obviously we had to end on just some good old-fashioned raw athleticism and putting guys on posters, because what else do you want? What else do you need from your number one pick? Gets it high, little brush screen from Trey White. It knocks Devonsa off his path enough where I think he almost tripped here. Yeah, so his foot gets hung up on White's, so Devonsa can't get through there. But we saw Peterson be able to turn the corner on Devonsa a handful of times this game, so I'm not sure it really would have mattered, but we'll give AJ the benefit of the doubt here. Peterson gets there, and then from here, I just love the screw it, let's go attitude. And it's, all right, you guys are going to give me a full lane. You're going to get, no one's going to have the wherewithal to rotate over in time and take away my runway. Fine, I'm going to make you pay because I've been torching you all game from outside, getting to the rim, the mid-range. Now I'm going to put you on a poster. And the confidence and the athleticism to do this, my goodness. So where does that leave us with Darryn Peterson? Now, it's so frustrating. I promise I recognize how frustrating it is that he, yet again, couldn't finish a game because of these cramping issues, only played 3 minutes at the start of the second half. But everything that we wanted to see from him in this game showed up in droves in the first half. We saw awesome defense. There were a couple on-ball possessions where he got blown by, but from a disruptive disruptiveness standpoint with his hands, being a defensive playmaker, and then immediately turning that into offense going the other way. We saw it multiple times. From a playmaking standpoint, which people have started harping on, being like, oh man, this guy can't create for anyone. I know the raw assist numbers weren't outlandish, but his ability to quickly flow within the offense, make quick decisions, see every area of the floor, and create for others, it was all on display. In multiple ways, from an on-ball role, from an off-ball role, we saw how dynamic he can be as a playmaker, and a lot of it stems from just his quick decision making and his ability to process everything. There's very little catch, hold, survey, now go in his game. That kind of stuff, it's just rare to see from him. A lot of it is always catch and go. There's no wasted time, there's no wasted movement, and that is something that is so beautiful and valuable from him in that two guard role. I still don't think he's a point guard, he's a two guard, but that ability to quickly flow between decisions, shot attempts, drives, kickouts, handoffs, empty side pick and rolls, to improvise within an offensive set, it's all there. It's everything that you want from a two guard. And Darryn Peterson continued to show throughout that entire first half that he is more than worthy of being the number one pick in the 2026 NBA draft.